Hello, fellow traders. Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Tuesday, September 13th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading. Trading is all about you, part 9 with Walmall. As always, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and differ from Walmall's. Walmall, you were out yesterday, you're back today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a little bit better. Yeah, yesterday was just one of those days. Just wasn't feeling well, and just I was just down and out, and just sick. No other way to put it. And every one of us gets sick. And I know you and I had talked on the phone a little bit yesterday, and it's like, and what do you do? You'd ask me, am I going to trade? And I said, no, I'm just not. I just don't feel well. I think I made like a little bit of money, probably a quarter of what I normally make in a day. And it's just like, okay, I'm just done because, it's just not worth it. You're sitting there and you're looking at the charts, and the next thing you know, you're making foolish mistakes because you're not seeing everything you should see. You're not paying attention. You're preoccupied. And I think that we've been talking about this idea of you. Like that the most important factor in trading is you. And you got to go and just say, hey, it's just time, just don't do it, And TR, you know this because I've talked about this fellow in the past, and he was a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he's since passed away, but he was a pitch trader, and then he was a desk trader, and that's what he did for a living for 40 something years before he retired, and then he did it on his own on the side. And he said that like those big time traders, what they do is, you get sick. Like, normally, like, I don't know about y'all, but when I got sick as a little kid, you got sick and your mother let you be out of school for 2 days, maybe 3 if it was a really bad cold, but you were going back to school. And he said that, no, in those big companies, it's quite different. And it's sort of like, oh, you're sick, you're down under the weather. Okay, you're starting to feel better. Good. You can come into the office, but you ain't pulling the trigger on a trade. You sit there and you watch the charts for a little bit, and get your head back in the game. Let's go and make sure that you really are well, and if you had somebody close to you, either a family member or a friend or whatever that passed away, you weren't allowed to trade for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They just, in order to protect the money, because even those big corporations or those big banks, they know that when you're under the weather, it's going to affect what you do, and even if it affects you only by 1%, that's could be the difference between making money and losing money.
Yeah, that's for true. If you're off your game.
If you're off your game, you're off your game. It's now at the same time, if you and somebody's going to come along, I'm sure, and say something. But Walmart, you went and said in the past that if you're not winning your trades, and what do? You keep at it. Make sure that you're not violating any rules, but keep at it. That's different than being sick. That's different from having something going on in your life that's very, very emotional. They're two completely separate things. One is just that the market's just not going in your direction right now, and you just keep on hammering on it until it turns, and then you're able to go and take advantage of it. The other one is you're going to be slow, you're going to be making bad and poor decisions, and which then what's going to cause you to do is to go and to fight those bad and poor decisions, and then unfortunately, because you're under the weather, you're going to probably make even more bad and poor decisions, and so now what you do is you're compounding problems.
Right. That made me think. I wonder if the airlines do the same thing with pilots.
I don't know. I got a really good friend of mine, and he's I won't disclose the airline, but it's a major international airline, and he's an overseas pilot, meaning he flies from the U.S. into all over the world. I'll ask him that question. In fact, we're supposed to go and have a little barbecue with him in the next week or so.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to ask him that question.
Yeah, and speaking about questions, I've been corresponding with the trader on the YouTube comments. He said something about I can't remember which method he was following. He said he was making money, for like maybe 8, 9, 10 trades or something like that, and then he winds up giving it back.
Okay.
And he was asking me, what should he do? And news just broke. I just see a nice about 6 pip spike there.
Yeah, we got CPI that's coming in from for the U.S. right now. So in other words, what that is just the price index. So yeah, it's that. I said to you before we got on this video that I would not go and trade right now just because I know that this number goes and causes. Wow, did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Good night. That's 10, 20, 30,
70
40,
pips.
60, 70 pips, 80, 90. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Now, people may make fun of me because I'm not willing to go and trade news. Right there's the reason why not to trade news. And, with my method would have said to go long. And I would have been slammed. And that's why just let it settle out. Let somebody else, it's sort of like, in software development, if you've ever done anything along those lines, you think called the bleeding edge, let somebody else go. Well, my philosophy with the bleeding edge, let somebody else go and have the bleeding edge.
Yeah, but that was a really interesting 1 minute candle. Somebody made a ton.
Somebody made a ton of money very, very quickly. And unfortunately, a lot of people probably lost a bunch of money too. And it's because all those stops. If somebody would have been trading the way I trade, they would have been long, and they would have gotten. They would have had a stop loss. The stop loss probably would not have been honored until way down far, until where that candle went and receded back up.
Right.
So they would have. Let's say they were looking for a 4 or 5 pip stop loss on that. They would have taken a 45 pip loss because that's about where the stops would have been honored. So. Just as far as I'm concerned, just not worth it. Yeah, those movements look great. If only I was in. Yeah, but what if you were in the wrong way? And the reason why I'm babbling along on this is because that's, getting back to that fellow's question, that person's question. And that's, why do you, I think the biggest question you got to ask, or, you got to ask and then try to answer is, why are you giving it back? Are you giving it back because you're getting slammed with some type of market condition like what we just saw? Are you giving it back because you're not sticking true to the method? Are you giving it back because you're getting, this, that we all are guilty of this, so please don't think I'm, being mean or whatever, but are we giving back because of hubris? We think we're unbeatable. I can go and place a trade anywhere I want. I can just go and do this, and I'm going to make money. So it's just going to make this is just nothing more than a money making machine for me. You got to be honest with yourself and ask those questions. And the next thing is that why are you giving it? Could it possibly be that you were in a good cycle and so you were making money, okay? And now you're in a bad cycle. And so now you're going to lose money. If you don't think you're going to lose money in the market, don't trade because you're going to lose money. There's going to be a period of time when you're not going to be making money. And just to understand that and realize that that's just part of trading. Now, what I say all the time, though, is what do you do to go and minimize the amount that you lose? You keep as they say, keep your losses short, and are you doing that? Are you going and doing proper trade management? Are you placing stops where you're comfortable losing that amount of money, or are you just not and you're saying it's going to come back? I'm going to be completely transparent here. That's one of my biggest problems, and has been since the very first day that I started trading, and that is that I'd sit there and I know that the market's going to go up. I know it's going to go up. So I'm going to go and place some trade, and then it goes down against me. And where I drew the line in the sand and said, this is where I'm going to get out, okay, if it gets there, because that means the trade's no good. And what did I do? I moved my stop loss. And I moved my stop loss. Next thing you know, instead of taking a 3, 4, 5 pip loss, I'm sitting there taking a 10, 12, 15 pip loss or more, and are we doing things like that? Those are the biggest questions you really got to go and that I see anyway that got to be answered first.
Right. And the one thing that I said was maybe that trader hates to lose, and that's part of the problem because I know I hate to lose.
We all do, if we're all honest. You can say that. Yeah, I tolerate at this point in time. I tolerate losses because I know it's part of the business.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, sometimes in our methods, we'll go in a second time because the first trade's going against us a little bit. And usually when it comes back, I know when you're on the phone, you'll go, okay, I'm out. And you'll say, yeah, I went in once or twice, again. And you made X amount, but on one of the trades you were down. On me, it's like, well, I don't want to give any back, so I'm thinking it's going to go back, and it doesn't. And then instead of being down maybe $10, I'm down, 110. It's
right.
like when I could have, exited, say, one with maybe a $30 loss and have a $100 gain, net 70.
Right. Yeah, and that's got to be part of your trading plan. Yeah, and my trading plan allows me to go and do that because what I've done is I've cut the amount that I take on a trade. I don't load the full cannon, as they say.
Right.
And so it gives me the ability to go and do that. But at the same time, I have a dollar amount that I just say I am not going to cross that threshold. I don't care if it puts me down for the day by taking that loss. It puts me down for the day for that loss. That's
Boy,
okay.
right through the 1600 to 1590. Okay, so that means 75 and 60 are the next two levels.
Yeah, next two train stops, right?
Yeah, and the one thing I've learned about on these types of moves, when you see a big candle, whether or not it's news, is you take a look at it, and I know this is probably getting into the Fibonacci traders idea. But you look at the range, and in this case, I think this was what? That was over 100 pips. So from there, look for the next candle to keep go in the same direction, about somewhere between, say, 1/3 to 1/2 as much as this candle before you start to think about reversals. Does it work every time? No, but it'll definitely keep you out of that sucker trade where it looks like it's going up, then it just slams right back down like it did there.
Right, exactly. I mean, and I don't know what your
I called 75 and hit 76, so I got to go sharpen my pencil.
You're off by a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what your spreads are with your broker, but I'm on an ECN broker, which means I pay a commission, and then on top of that, if I was to take a trade here, I'd be taking a 1.5, or so in other words, 1.5 pips, just a spread. Normally my spreads are usually at 0.2 or 0.3. So right now it's sort of like you put commission in plus spread. You're paying over 2 pips minimum. And so with my type of trading, it's just my hands are tied behind the back. I can't do that. Sometimes that's all I'm looking to make is at 2 pips.
Yeah. And then, one of the other things I've learned to do is just let this whole thing play out. So I'll switch over to M30 candle and I'll just sit here for the next, 20 minutes or so. And I'm just going to wait for the top of the hour. Maybe if I see something, maybe in the last 10 minutes, because there's a lot of times the last 10 minutes, there's a lot of action on those two M5 candles. But for here and now, it's just no, because chances are I'm going to guess incorrectly. But you know what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up. So, fellow traders, I hope that helps. And just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.